Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Brother Kenneth, Deel, with some more outside the Real Deal show, The Art of the Deals, which is more spiritual warfare stuff. In this case, we'll have topics on other videos with a slightly different logo. The St. Benedict medal will be replaced by something else so that we can get across more things that we found useful in life, very useful. And it'll just be a matter of time. But we're talking about our main topics here, and tonight we're going to talk about the topic that came up in the Jordan Amen quotes when we were going over his things demons can do and can't do. And can't do is one of the things they can't directly read your mind. And so we're going over that because it's been challenged, and I thought I was rather clear, and I was more clear than anybody I've ever heard myself. But I learned that on my own, that demons can't read your minds. It was a very young age. And later on I got it clarified by exorcists because regular clergy didn't know the answer. Let's say I meet a demon face to face and I say, can you read my mind? And, and they say yes. And then I, remember this is a made up scenario, so don't freak out or anything, right? And then I say, okay, I'm going to pick a number and you pick the number from 1 to 10. All of a sudden the number 8 pops in my head. And he says 8, and then before I'm thinking, I didn't even think of a number yet, and then he goes, number 7 pops in my head, and he says 7, and I said no, and it's like he's starting to get a little frustrated and stuff, and he tries again, 2, and I still didn't think of a number yet because he keeps rattling it out because he's cocky and overconfident, typical, right? And then I say nope, that's not it, and then I say aha. I know what you're doing. You're inserting that thought to make me think that I thought of that number just so you can give the impression that you're reading my mind. And that's kind of a childish way to put it, but that's exactly what they do. They do that stuff. They do that with like predictions too. They'll give you some sort of prediction through a person, psychic, medium, gypsy, or whatever, or by some other means, and then they'll basically either try to make it happen, to make it look like they're true. In other words, you got predicted that you're going to get hit by a car. You can't possibly predict what car is going to be on that sidewalk at that time, but they can make you obsessed over it and not look across the street. They can block your vision so you don't even notice the car. If you ever had something like that happen, not a demon necessarily, that you're walking, it's like, where did that come from? You almost get hit by a car. I mean, they can do that kind of thing, and they can, in other words, they can make it happen. And in some extreme cases, the person, if they're very in danger because they're pleasing and appeasing demons more than they are following the commandments by far, the angel won't be able to help them because they're surrounded more by demons that they appease. You might actually get shoved into the freeway or trip over something that's not there. People trip over stuff and you go back and look and usually it's to cover your awkwardness, like if you're at a party and you go back to look and see what it was, like, what was that, That's a little human pride at work there, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of scenarios, and they're endless, where they can try to project that they're actually, predicted the future when actually making it happen, or they predicted the circumstances that could lead up to that. Like the spouse has been thinking about divorcing a long time, and then they give the prediction, your spouse will divorce you in 2 weeks. Don't fall for that either, okay? So. In this, it's the same thing. It's demonic trickery. So you think that they can read your mind. Well, it's probably because you're oppressed, and the demon puts the thoughts in your mind at the same level of your subliminal that you have your own thinking process, so you don't know the difference. Or they basically really look good at you in a way they do for the future predictions. They can analyze your layers of auras and don't pull that kind of thing like, auras, he's new age now. Be quiet, okay? I got better words to say than that if I could say them. Okay, let's go back to this thing about extracting from the mind seems to be the real trick, and that you can make them be louder and stronger in projecting the thought to you. And that's what happens when people get to suicide moments. It's so loud, and if they can get past that night, they'll be like, what was that all about? I mean, because that's how strong it gets for people to commit, acts of murder, sin, and all that stuff. There's this real extra powerful moment there of demonic influence on your mind with suggestions but it's such a high level, and it doesn't happen to everybody. Usually they're spiritually and mentally weak anyway. That's what brings them to the suicide, and then they're egging them on. Jump. On extracting thoughts, it's got to be permissible will of God. There's a big element, so everything I say could be trumped because it's allowed to some degree by the permissible will of God, with God allowing it for some level or for their learning. Just like haunted houses. If you get a haunted house, sometimes I say, you're blessed. Why is that? Well, because you know one's there and you made a call to do something about it. Now you begin your journey of healing and getting closer to God through this experience, because sometimes people have to be exposed to the darkness on some heavy level before they snap out of their things they're doing in life that are, well, to say unpleasing to God, because that's the eternal life that you'll have when you pass away someday, is what you're forging in this world now. But sometimes it's necessary. And I can't say I wish it on anybody, but it's better to have that than to stay on the current path and let life be peaceful. And then you get on the edge of your life, and then you find out that you're being escorted by demons into the netherworld that no one wants to go down there without a fire suit. Okay, so back to it again. Here we go. Giver. So extracting thoughts from a person's mind. And, you know, it's like a firewall a little bit. It's already built in that God put on us and blocked by guardian angels or who knows what. But the protocol, as I said, it would be maddening to have them be able to communicate in and out at their own free will. They're already inserting thoughts into our head. So if we don't want them to hear our thoughts, and it's limited even when we do. They can only do so much. So what kind of else information can I gather on that? There's so many variables of how you might get to the point where you believe that they can read your mind, but they fooled you. Chances are they fooled you. They have a lot of these oppression cases that we dealt with. We explained when we said, well, then how do they know that? And I explained how, and they go, oh. But no one's around to explain to a lot of people this stuff, and they don't even believe maybe they can read your mind if you're not insane. And those things are important to consider in any evaluation of a case, even if it's a haunted house rather than a haunted person, at least in their perception, that they can't actually just go in and freely pull your memories out, your thoughts, your thoughts. Memories is not a matter. And that's something else you should note. Like I said, when they tempt you, they pull your memories out. Sometimes the imagery of an act that you did that you're mulling over, like, yeah, I remember her. And they send it back in your brain to keep your thinking on it. I think they do this to PTSD people too, you know, like people from the war and all that. I think they do that to keep them down, because a lot of them eventually it did drive them mad to some extent, where they end up being drug addicts or alcoholic. And I'm talking about other people with PTSD too. You can get the person traumatized. It like gives a kind of an extraordinary access and a power that they can put the suggestion into your mind, among other things too. So, if they can read conditions of your life and your health and all these other things in your auras, which reveal your mood, you're happy, you're sad, you're depressed, you know, you name it, that it's very easy to go and pretend that you know what they're thinking. And the gullible will believe it, but it's not even so much that as people are easily convinced if they're to the stage where that's actually going to affect them so much. They're already spiritually and mentally weak. And if no one's praying for them, how are they going to fall out of these ideas unless someone starts to explain, no, this isn't how it works. And you can get out of this, you know, undoing what you did to invite it in or whatever. But, you know, various methods, which is an investigation protocol, and then taking solutions and passing them on to clergy as needed if it needs to go further than that. But this is 4 out of 5 exorcists. All the exorcists that we know of know and top names. We're not exorcists. We're called deliverance ministers when we go that far. See how far we can get with the person, investigators or whatever. And any experienced, well-experienced top names, you know, people who are very knowledgeable in the topics, at some point or another they ran into this. If not in my book or in one of these video lectures by exorcists, for example, they probably experienced it sometime during their lifetime of their experiences working with demonic spirit deliverance and that kind of thing. You know, guys, I didn't tell you, but you know, this video is put on, and I have to watch with some of the words I say because I'll be demonetized. I found out the word DEAD when we were talking about Halloween a couple months ago and the significance of the holy day. That actually caused me to be red flagged. So I got to watch the words, you know. Big Brother is watching. But I'm not. We're still figuring out what happens with those things. But I wanted to throw it in there. This is why I have to stop and search for a word. Believe it or not, I go on a flow, and I'm like that. And then I got to find myself stopping just to avoid that. I can't change the videos like that and go in there. Where did I say that word? Or what word was it? Luckily, I had it in the title, and that last time, and I removed it, and it immediately turned back again to where it's green. And but thought I'd throw that in there. I think this pretty much covers it all. Anybody who doesn't understand it now, I don't even want to say, hey, give me a call or contact me. I just think that you need to take our word for it, because you might be a Bible study school, Bible college guy or whatever. You're reading Keys of Solomon and ancient, like who knows what, the Kabbalah or whatever. You're reading the wrong material first off. So if you're not going to change your ways, you're not going to learn anything. You can't drive demons out with demons. You can't appease one demon while trying to drive out another. And I've said that before. This is why we can look at people and we can go, yeah, they're all pretty much messed up in drugs and they're alcoholics. No, it's not judgmental. It's telling the facts. You have to confront your own family members sometimes on this stuff. Last thing what I could say about judgmental is I'll talk about that in maybe one of the next videos we do. But I'm going to part it now and see that this is about the time I usually cut off in these videos. So God bless. We'll see you guys around, or rather, you'll see me.